On your screen, you'll see a list of agenda items that we plan to cover during the session. We'll discuss the program, admission requirements, and resources available to distance learners. We'll also share some information about the University of Alabama and the Capstone College of Nursing. We'll hold a question and answer period at the end of the session. To ask a question, just type it in the text box found on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, like this. Feel free to type your question in the box during the session. We'll address your questions at the end of the presentation. We're recording this session. The recorded session will be placed on our website for future reference. We'll provide you with a link to the recorded session and an email that we'll send out in the next few days. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Katara Wilson and Dr. Cheshire for the information on the program.
Thank you, Gary. And again, thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to log in with us today. I just want to hit a couple of things regarding the RN to BSN and RN to BSN to MSN programs. Here on the screen, you'll see some of the advantages and benefits from enrolling in online education here at UA for the nursing program. You will get the opportunity to learn from our highly skilled faculty. Our RN to BSN faculty, they are phenomenal. They really understand the students our student population that we have, that you are working nurses going back to school, and they are really responsive to that. You also get an opportunity to earn your degree from a nationally recognized institution. So if you come to UA and complete this online nursing degree, your BSN is never going to be questioned by anyone when you later on apply for a job, or if you're applying for a promotion within your same facility. Once you list that BSN from UA, you are graduating from a reputable institution, so you don't have to worry about any issues with that. And our program is accredited by the Alabama Board of Nursing as well as the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education. This next slide just gives a little brief overview of our typical student. All of our students are either licensed RNs or have just graduated from their RN program and will be licensed shortly after starting the program. The overwhelming majority of our students work full-time, and that just goes to show you that you can enroll in this program as well as work full-time and continue to support your family while you are enrolled in the program. And you see a couple of other things there listed that gives you just a snapshot of our general student. The format of the program, as we discussed, it is a completely online program. So you are never going to be required to come to campus for any course requirements for the online nursing courses. Now, at graduation time, we will invite you to come down and hope that you will decide to join us for that. But again, it's not required, but we hope that our students show up for graduation, because it's the first time that a lot of us get to meet you face-to-face. But as far as course requirements, you do not have to come to campus. All of the prerequisite or the core classes are offered online here at the university as well. So if you find that you are, missing one or two of the prerequisite courses and you want to take those online here at UA, you can do that. And again, all of the nursing courses are online. The nursing courses are asynchronous, meaning they're not going to have lectures that are Monday nights at 7 o'clock. The lectures are recorded so that it can accommodate many different schedules. So if you work, 7 on, 7 off, or you work 2 or 3 days in a row and then you're off 3 or 4 days, it's set up that way to accommodate those different schedules for everyone. So the RN to BSN program is, again, designed for licensed registered nurses who want to earn their BSN. We would prefer that the core requirements be completed prior to enrolling in the online nursing courses. And now we accept students every semester for the online nursing courses. So we have a summer, fall, and spring admit, and that will give students a chance to complete any prerequisites that they may have to do in one semester and then immediately start the online nursing courses the next semester. The RN to BSN program is 3 semesters long. When we say students enroll full-time for this RN to BSN program, it means that they are enrolled in 2 courses each of those 3 semesters. It doesn't mean 12 hours of enrollment. So the list of courses there for the RN to BSN program show you the courses that you would enroll in, and again, you would take 2 courses each semester for 3 semesters, so you end up graduating in a calendar year. The RN to BSN to MSN is designed for those students that want to enroll in a program where you can earn both the bachelor's and then the master's degree. It is a 7-semester program, and you earn the BSN after the 4th semester in that program, and then at the end of the 7 semesters is when you are awarded your MSN. You can see the different choices that you have for specialization in that MSN program. It's case management, clinical nurse leader, or nurse administrator.
Okay, this is Michelle. I want to talk to y'all just a little bit about the clinical requirements in the course. This is in the program. It's always kind of a big topic and one that certainly those of you who have completed your associate degree program know is kind of a big deal and a big part of the nursing education process. First, I want you to know that you come to us as a licensed registered nurse, or like Katara mentioned, you will be licensed within the first semester of our program. We have 2 courses of the 6 courses in our program that are clinical courses. That means that you log clinical hours with an outside preceptor. This looks extremely different from what you did in your associate degree program in a good way. The first course that you have to do clinical requirements in for the RN to BSN program is community health. In that program, you will complete a community assessment that counts towards some of your clinical hours, and you will only have to log 2 days, 16 hours of clinical outside of working on that community assessment. So what that means is you will have 16 hours in that semester of clinical. You will do that in a non-acute care setting, so home health, hospice, public health. I've had students that worked with a flight nurse before, so we can get real creative on those. We just don't want those hours to be hours where you are working in a hospital, in a unit, that kind of thing. We want you to kind of get a different view. The other course is our leadership and management course that has clinical hours in it. That is in our final semester of our program. And in that course, you log 45 hours of clinical with a nurse leader or nurse manager. Many times those hours are done in the facility where the student already works. So hopefully they're a little easier to maneuver and get those hours done. One of the things that I want you to know about both experiences is you come to us as licensed nurses. We respect the fact that you already know how to nurse. So we don't care if you're starting an IB or what kind of skills you're doing and that kind of thing. This is more about you seeing community health, seeing clinical outside of an acute care setting, and the opportunity to work with a leader or a manager in your area. And you may be nurse leaders already. And so then we usually ask that student to work with somebody at a level higher than you. So these are hours where we're not asking you to do direct patient care, but where we're just wanting you to see nursing in a different light. The RN to BSN to MSN, you do have MSN requirements, clinical requirements, whether you do case management, clinical nurse leader, or nurse administrator. And those hours are much more concentrated, and there are many more of those, but those come towards the end of the program, and your master's faculty will help you work on those and get placement for those.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the admissions process. Now, admission to the program is kind of a two-step process. The first thing is to submit an application to the University of Alabama. Some of you may have already done that. If you haven't, there are instructions on our website for doing so. Once you've been admitted to the University of Alabama, someone in our Student Services office, either myself or Cynthia Morris, will take a look at your transfer work to help you determine where you stand with the prerequisite courses. Once that is done, the dates that you see listed on the screen right now are the deadline dates for the application to the Capstone College of Nursing itself. So for those students that want to enroll in the online nursing classes for the summer session, the application deadline for the College of Nursing is March 1st. For those that want to start in the fall, the application deadline is June 1st. And for those that want to start in the spring, the application deadline is October the 1st. If you are not sure where you're going to fall into, when I'm going to be admitted and all of that, just contact me and I will help you get it all figured out, and we'll come up with a plan of study for you. The RN to BSN MSN only accepts students to start in the summer term. So the application for the College of Nursing for that BSN MSN program is March the 1st. And I also ask students, if you're interested in this particular combined program, to talk to me about it first, just so we can help make sure that you get all your ducks in a row for that program. Here are the admission requirements for the RN to BSN. We talked about the RN license. Again, if you are graduating in May and wanting to start the program in the summer, say you have all the prerequisites done and you're ready to enroll in the online nursing courses, then we can work with you on being enrolled, until you get or pass the NCLEX and get your license. You need to have at least a 2.5 GPA on all of the prerequisite courses, and then at least a 2.0 GPA on the 4 required science courses that are included in that prerequisite list. Again, we'd like for students to have the prerequisite or core classes, those are the same thing, have those completed prior to enrolling in the online nursing courses. And you have to have your associate's degree in nursing from an institution or a program that is accredited by ACEN. If you don't know if your program is accredited, I can look that up for you and let you know. So if you have a question about that, you can let me know through email. RN to BSN to MSN, the admission requirements are a little different. Still RN license, complete the prerequisites and from a degree program that is accredited by ACEN, but the GPA requirement is different. So you have to have at least a 3.0 GPA on either your last 60 hours of collegiate work or overall on all of the collegiate work that you have completed. And that GPA is calculated in the graduate school when you submit your application to them.
Thank you, Katara and Dr. Cheshire. I do appreciate the information. As a distance learner, you'll have access to the same resources available to campus students. You are eligible to apply for federal financial aid. Students eligible for military educational assistance may use their educational benefits here at the University of Alabama. Distance learners have access to all university library resources, including access to scholarly databases, assistance with writing and citation, tools and tips for research, and the Interlibrary Loan Program. There is also a dedicated distance learning librarian on staff to assist students as they navigate the library resources. The Writing Center offers online assistance and tutoring to students who are unable to visit the campus location. The Center for Academic Success provides individualized tutoring, study skills workshops, and exam reviews through web-based methods to meet the needs of distance learning students. Blackboard tutorials are available for those who have never taken an online course. Distance learning students pay flat hourly tuition rate regardless of residency. The rate does not include any applicable course fees or books. Students have the option to purchase access to the Student Health Center and the Student Recreation Center. Unfortunately, you must be enrolled as a campus student in order to be eligible for athletic tickets. The College of Continuing Studies offers scholarships to students who are enrolled in degree programs facilitated through the Continuing Studies. You must be currently admitted or accepted for admission in order to apply. Applications are accepted year-round and scholarships are awarded each semester. Now I would like to share some information about the University of Alabama and the Capstone College of Nursing. The university was established in 1831 as the state's first public college. Approximately 38,000 students attend UA, with about 5,500 of those students enrolled in graduate programs and about 4,800 enrolled in distance learning programs. We are an accredited and reputable institution. The first class of nursing students graduated in 1978 from UA's Capstone College of Nursing. Since that time, student enrollment has continued to grow in an effort to help with the nursing shortage. All of the programs offered through the Capstone College of Nursing are accredited by the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education and approved by the Alabama Board of Nursing. Today, they offer 1 undergraduate program and 4 degree programs for distance learning students. Faculty offices and classrooms are housed in the Capstone College of Nursing, a state-of-the-art educational facility which is pictured on your screen. In the next few days, you'll receive an email with information that includes important website addresses and contact information, as well as a link to the recorded session. This concludes our presentation. We will now answer your questions. So go ahead and type those in the text box on the left-hand side. I'll read the questions, and Katara and Dr. Cheshire will answer the questions for us. I'm also going to put our contact information up on the screen so that you have our contact information. If you need to reach out to us for any reason, we'll be more than happy to assist you as well. Ashley Manning 1 wants to know, do we have to find our own preceptor? If so, does anyone qualify, or is it something you have to approve?
Hey, Ashley, that's a great question. Students are responsible for their clinical placement. That's not a negative thing. That's just because if you happen to live in Texas or you happen to live in Pennsylvania, or if you live right here in Tuscaloosa, you know the areas, you know the nurses, you know the facilities in your area where you might want to do your clinicals. So yes, for the community health, you will identify a preceptor and an agency. Again, it could be a home health agency, hospice agency, public health agency, and you'll identify a preceptor, or that agency will do that for you. Ideally, we like for the preceptors in this program to hold a BSN or higher degree. We do have a workaround for that if you happen to be completing your clinical hours in a facility where that is not possible, or where the available or willing preceptor has an associate degree, then we do have a workaround for that where they have a consultant that has a BSN. So the answer to your question is yes, you do get the opportunity to find your own preceptors, and If they're a nurse and they're working in that facility, then they probably will qualify, or we will work with you to find somebody that is.
Thank you. Christy wants to know, is it too late to register for summer?
The answer to that, Christy, is no, it's not. So if you want to go ahead and submit an application to the University of Alabama, that would be the first step if you have not done that yet. And again, once you've been admitted, then I or Cynthia Morris will look over your transfer work to see where you stand with the prerequisites and then move on from there. But you can absolutely still apply for summer enrollment in the nursing courses.
Swanton wants to know, we apply to UA first, after acceptance, then we apply to Capstone.
Yes, you will submit an application to the University of Alabama first, and then once you've been accepted, I will pick up with you from there and talk to you about the prerequisite courses and where you stand and all of that. And then I send out the application for the Capstone College of Nursing part of it in an email. It's not one that's, that you find online. I will actually send that link out to students, but that is correct. UA admission first and then College of Nursing admission.
Jordan wants to know, is this a 2.5 overall all college courses ever? I have a bachelor's in exercise science and now am in nursing school for associates.
That's a great question, Jordan. The 2.5 GPA refers to the prerequisite courses that are required for the RN to BSN program. So it may not necessarily be every college course that you've ever taken, but it's those courses that we require, the anatomy and physiology, biology or general science and micro and English comp and those types of things. So it may not be every course that you've ever taken, but it's just the courses that we specifically require for the RN to BSN.
And Katara, if I can add to that, Jordan, there are, for those of you that might, like Jordan, already hold a bachelor's degree in another field, there is a different set, or really a shorter set of prerequisite requirements for those who are considered as second degree students. So, Jordan, if you go to nursing.ua.edu and look at the RN to BSN page, you will see that there's a different list, a shorter list, if you already hold a bachelor's degree.
Thank you. And Samantha wants to know, is it possible to apply for the BSN program and then later decide to do the BSN MSN midway through doing the BSN program?
Samantha, because of the way the curriculum is set up and the course progression is set up, it is not possible to do that. But what some of our students do who don't really know what they want to focus on as far as a graduate degree, or not quite sure where they want to go with the graduate degree, is we advise them to just do the BSN first, because it's only going to take you 3 semesters to get it done. And then once you finish it and graduate with it, and you may have a better understanding of, where you want to go with graduate study, then you can just submit an application to the graduate program and apply to the graduate program as a BSN prepared nurse at that point. So it's not that if you don't start the BSN MSN that you can't go on later and get a master's degree. You can certainly do it without doing that combined program. But if you choose to start the RN to BSN, that's going to be the program that you're in, because the curriculum and the coursework, they start to differ in the second semester of the program.
And Jessica wants to know, if we graduated from UA in 2010, do we need to reapply at the college before applying to the College of Nursing?
Yes, if you are a former UA student, you will submit an application for readmission to the university. And once that is done, then I will, get your major changed, because if you were in a different major when you were here, we would need to get that changed and everything. But if you have taken courses at UA before, you don't have to have graduated from UA, but if you were here and you enrolled in a couple of classes and then you left and went somewhere else, then you will apply for readmission before applying to the College of Nursing. I'm sorry, Gary.
Very good. And JC wants to know.
Can I add a little bit to that? This is Miranda. Thanks, Katara. That is so correct. And they would not apply for distance learning. They would apply for readmission. You are so correct. And then we will get that changed for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. And when JC wants to know, when pursuing the MSN, can that transition to a nurse practitioner?
JC, we do have a nurse practitioner program here at the University of Alabama. We have a nurse practitioner that has a family nurse practitioner pathway as well as a psych NP pathway. We strongly believe that by next summer, not for this summer's admission to RN to BSN to MSN, but by next summer for RN to BSN to MSN, that the NP will very likely be an option. We're going through some curriculum changes in our master's program right now, so currently that is not one of our RN to BSN to MSN options. However, I reiterate what Katara said earlier. We strongly advise students to complete the RN to BSN program, have that BSN under your belt, and then you are certainly eligible to apply for the master's NP program here at the University of Alabama. And again, you can do the family nurse practitioner, the psych nurse practitioner, or we actually have a program where you can do a dual psych and FNP option.
Thank you. And Julie, I hope you got your audio going back on. We are still talking audio, so hopefully you got that going. Mamie wants to know, I have been an RN for 8 years. Will I need to retake all of my sciences?
You will not have to retake any of your sciences. We do not place a time limit on those courses.
Samantha wants to know, will UA be offering clinical informatics as an MS degree in the near future?
Samantha, I would not say we will offer that in the near future. There have been talks of that and rumblings of us looking at an MSN degree with a focus on informatics. We have several faculty members here in our graduate program that have a very strong informatics background. But I would not think in the near future. I would think that would be 2 to 3 years down the road at the earliest.
Okay. And Carmen wants to know, what's the estimated total cost for the RN to BSN?
At the current tuition rate, which is $3.55 per credit hour, the 6 online nursing courses total 25 hours. So 25 times that $3.55 comes up to be $8,875. And we estimate a cost of books to be around $200 a semester. That will vary greatly depending on where you buy your books, if you do new or used, or if you rent versus buying textbooks and that sort of thing. But the tuition cost is right around $8,900.
Thank you.
And I would like to add that we do not have any fees attached to any of our nursing courses, which is something that is we work very hard here at the nursing school to make sure that we don't have. So like Katara said, that tuition rate is the rate. There will be no added fees to that. And I would also encourage you, as you are looking around at other programs, which I'm sure you are, and certainly you should do your due diligence on that, but we, certainly in the state of Alabama, and really for many of the programs in the country, have one of the most affordable RN to BSN programs. What you need to look at when you're looking at other programs is that cost per credit hour and the number of hours that the RN to BSN program is at that institution, because many times they have more hours in their RN to BSN program. So just make sure you do that math so that when you're doing, you don't kind of get surprised in the end about the cost.
Thank you. And Brandy wants to know, other than the 6 nursing classes, what do we need as far as core classes like math and stuff?
Brandy, that list of the core classes can be found on our website. It's about 15 or 16 prerequisites for students that do not have a bachelor's degree in any other field. And again, like Michelle mentioned earlier, if you do have a bachelor's degree in another field, that list is different or shorter is basically all that it is. But if you look on our website, nursing.ua.edu, and when you get to the RN to BSN section of that website, we have a link there for the core requirements, and you can click there and it'll give you the entire list.
Thank you. And Kason wants to know, Carson, I apologize, what is the process of gaining acceptance to UA for the core education requirements?
What I'm assuming Carson means is if you want to take some of the prerequisites here that you may be missing, what that application process is, and it is the exact same. You just apply to the University of Alabama, and if we determine after doing your evaluation that you need some of those prerequisite courses, then if you want to enroll in those here, you would just register during your registration time for the online section of those courses. And Carson, if I did not answer that, to your satisfaction, or if I misinterpreted what you meant, please just type it again and I'll give it another shot.
And Tanner wants to know, what are all the prereqs we need to complete?
Again, there's an entire list on our website, but it's going to be a lot of the courses you probably have already taken, but English Comp 1 and 2, there's a math requirement, history, literature, anatomy 1 and 2, a science course, microbiology, and there are a few other courses in there, but I would encourage you to go to our website, click on that core requirements link, and find the list there, because I don't want to forget one off the top of my head. And again, that website is nursing.ua.edu.
Very good. And Catherine wants to know, for the community hours, I work with a home health agency, PRN. Will it be okay to get my hours from the agency I work with?
Hi, Catherine. That certainly meets the requirements for the course. What I encourage students to do, though, is because you already work in that area, I try to encourage students to do those non-acute care hours in another facility. Or if your home health agency has home health and hospice, then you can work with a hospice-focused nurse in that rotation. The idea is to let you see something else out there besides what you currently already do. So we do strongly encourage you not to do it those community health hours in your community health agency if that's where you are working. However, that's not to say it hasn't happened before, and it's not to say we can't work with you on that, but we would just look for a little different objectives to be met in that situation.
And Mamie wants to know, all of my studies are with community colleges. How will I know what classes are comparable to transfer to classes required?
Mamie, when you submit your application to the University of Alabama, you will be required to request your official transcripts from all institutions that you've attended and have those transcripts sent to UA. Once those transcripts get here and you've been admitted, I will be able to look at it and tell you this course that you took at XYZ Community College transfers as our Anatomy 1, so you have that requirement completed. But that is the the reason that you're going to go ahead and submit that application and get those transcripts sent is so those credits from your transfer institution can be evaluated and we know how they will transfer to UA.
And Dimitri wants to know, I have a statistics class I have to take. I'm signed up to start the class in May. Will that delay me until next spring?
No, if statistics is the only course that you have and you're going to take it this summer starting in May, I'm assuming you're going to be done with it before the fall semester starts, so you could enroll in the online nursing courses starting this fall 2018, which would be in August. So if any courses that you have to get done, if you take them over the summer or enroll in them over the summer, you can absolutely apply for that fall admission into the online nursing courses. When you either contact me or definitely when you fill out the application for the College of Nursing itself, there's a question on there that asks you about your current enrollment. So if you're still enrolled in the stats class, but you haven't finished it yet, you can note that and we'll know, hey, Dimitri has this one class left to take, but he's currently enrolled in it, so we can go ahead and, approve admission based on the completion of that class.
And I think Katara makes a very good point for Dimitri and for all of you. Please understand you do not have to have all of your prerequisites completed to apply to the University of Alabama. And it really is better for you normally if you go ahead and apply to the University of Alabama as soon as possible, because like Katara said, they're going to articulate your courses and let you know. And sometimes what happens is students think they need a course and they don't really need it because they have something else that can be substituted for that. And Katara does a real good job of looking at your transcripts, and if there's any way we can make a class count for something, then she'll let that happen. So the sooner you apply to UA, like she said, even if you're not have not finished all of your prerequisites, the better it is for you, because then you know exactly what you have to have. She will do a very targeted evaluation for you. You will know exactly what you need so that you know where you stand and when you can finish those prereqs and start our program.
Riley wants to know, if we graduate in May with an associate's degree but won't take the NCLEX until after June 1st, can we still register for the fall semester?
Riley, you can apply for admission for that fall semester to start the online nursing courses. If you take NCLEX after June 1st, you should have your license before fall classes begin in August. So you can apply for that that semester or that term enrollment even if you have not taken the NCLEX yet.
And students, let me clarify that as well. You had the first semester of our program is not does not have a clinical course. So you have the first semester of our program, if, like you said, you're graduating in May and starting with us either in the summer or the fall, you will have that first semester to successfully pass your board exam, and then you can continue in the program as long as you have passed that board exam, and we have proof of that.
Madison wants to know, students who complete the RN to BSN to MSN program, do they receive a bachelor's and then a master's, or you go from having an ADN to having an MSN? No physical bachelor's. Hope it makes sense.
It does make sense, Madison, and in our program you will earn both degrees, so you will get a diploma for both your bachelor's degree and your master's degree. And again, the bachelor's degree is awarded after the 4th semester. So after you've completed semester 4 of that program, you're going to get your bachelor's degree mailed to you in the mail. And then you'll just, enroll in the next semester, continuing on with the master's level work. And after the 7th semester, you will be awarded the master's degree. So you get both degrees physically.
Samantha wants to know, I've been a nurse for 24 years. Will accept all of the college credits I have done in the last 24 years, or is there a time limit that excludes my credits?
Again, we do not have a time limit on the courses that students transfer in. So if you took Anatomy 1 24 years ago, As long as it transfers to UA, we will accept it.
And Shantae wants to know, do you have to decide which MSN program to pursue before beginning the BSN MSN program?
Yes, the curriculum for the 3 different concentrations are different. So there are some, courses that you take for one concentration that you don't for the other. So you will need to know that up front, and when you apply to the MSN portion of the program, you will apply for case management or nurse administrator. So you do need to know that up front.
And again, I would urge you, if you are not positive, like Katara said before, we strongly, strongly encourage you to just do the RN to BSN track, get that BSN under your belt, and then you typically have learned a lot more about graduate options throughout the program, and you just had a little more time to work and to kind of figure out what you want to do. So if you're at the least bit questioning what it is that you want to do, I would strongly encourage you to just do the RN to BSN track initially.
And Tim wants to know, to start our application, do we apply undergraduate admission or distance learning programs? I'll be happy to address this one. Please apply for distance learning programs. We can change the application over if you accidentally do the undergraduate admissions, but to save you some delay maybe, please apply as a distance learning programs.
And I will say with that, Gary, if you all, on our website, the nursing.ua.edu, when you click on RN to BSN, we have a link that says admissions that gives you step-by-step instructions for getting to that correct distance learning application that Gary just mentioned. Now, and I'm just going to go back, I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but remember, if you were enrolled in courses here previously, and let's say you were an accounting major when you were at UA before, you're going to complete an application for readmission, and then we will change your major to the distance learning nursing major after you've been readmitted. So, there's a little bit of a difference between the two. But if you've never been a student here at UA before, completed any courses here, then if you go to our website, the instructions are listed there, or you can just make sure that you're completing the distance learning application.
Thank you. Jocelyn wants to know, how long is the BSN to MSN program once the BSN with UA is completed, if we go RN to BSN first?
Jocelyn, that depends on the student. They have a full-time program of study that is available that you can complete an MSN in 3 semesters. Now, you're going to be taking 15 to 17 hours each of those 3 semesters, and if that's something that you wanted to do, you could absolutely do that. And then they have part-time programs of study that are available for those concentrations as well, and those typically are 6 semesters.
And Mamie wants to know, if my goal is to teach in a community college setting, is a master's required?
Mamie, that varies from community college to community college. Most community colleges, you can do clinical teaching with just a BSN degree, but many times, and again, that you need to contact the community college, many times they do want their faculty to have an MSN degree.
Kellen wants to know, is there any chance that the MSN NP option will offer emergency NP in the future?
Yes, there is an option for that. They are, our nurse practitioner faculty and administration are working really hard to look at what other options besides psych NP and family nurse practitioner, where the market need is for that, where we need to fill a gap that may not be being filled other places. So yes, that is a possibility. Again, I don't think that's a near future thing, but within the next 2 or 3 years, I could see that being an option.
Thank you. Jessica wants to know, So if our end goal is to obtain a psych nurse practitioner, do I need to go ahead and apply for the BSN MSN, or just go for my BSN right now until that is available?
You do need to just, if you are talking about starting within the next 3 semesters, if you feel like you'll be ready to start the RN to BSN program within the next 3 semesters, then my advice would be, yes, complete the RN to BSN program and then apply for the Psych NP program. I will tell you that the Psych NP program is not as competitive as our FNP program is, so you have a very good chance usually of being considered for that program if the Psych NP is what you want. But it definitely improves your chances in our NP program currently for you to have your BSN already completed.
Okay. And Amber has 2 questions, so I'm going to go ahead and put them both out there. Does pre-calculus count toward anything? What is computer science? And if you are missing one core class, can you still start?
Amber, pre-calculus is a course that will probably count for your math credit, but we'll have to see how it transfers to UA. So as long as the math course that you completed transfers to UA as Math 110 or higher, then it will satisfy the math requirement. Computer science is our microcomputer applications course, which is CS 102. So if you've taken a computer science class somewhere else, as long as that course transfers to UA as CS 102, then you won't have to take it. We can use that as credit. As far as missing one core class, can you still start? The admissions committee likes for students to have completed all of the prerequisite courses because the students are normally more successful if they don't have any other prerequisites to take, if all they have to take are the online nursing courses. But if students are missing one class outside of a science course or statistics usually or math, the admissions committee will evaluate that for that student and base their decision on past academic history and those sorts of things to determine if that student can be conditionally admitted while missing that one prerequisite course. Now, if they are admitted, there's a time limit as to when they have to have that course completed. So let's say you are admitted and you're missing one prerequisite course of literature or something like that, you will have to complete that class during the first semester of the program.
And again, I want to echo what Katara said. When we used to only admit to this program once a year, and even when we have admitted in the past twice a year, we were a little more flexible and able to accept students that were missing at least only one core requirement. We are certainly working towards that being something that we don't do at all, that students have to have all of those core requirements completed, because as Katara said, we have seen the data proves that students are more successful. We in the RN to BSN program, as Katara mentioned earlier, our faculty work extremely hard to make sure that we understand our students are working nights, got families going on, they may be working 7 on, 7 off, and are flexible with things like deadlines and those kind of things when it's necessary. We do not have control of the core courses, certainly at your community college or here at the University of Alabama, and those courses sometimes are not near as flexible for the working RN. So we would strongly encourage you to get those out of the way so that you are just focusing on your nursing courses.
Collaborate wants to know, I applied to the university this last October, but haven't heard anything about being accepted or denied to the program. How will I be notified if I have been accepted? And I'll take this one. Collaborate, if you will email me at my email address on the screen from your Crimson email account with your CWID number, I'll be more than happy to look at your application status for you and see where that is. Kendra wants to know, would school nursing be an acceptable area to meet the community health requirements?
Yes, as long as that's school nursing, yes. School nursing is certainly a community health site that we many times approve as clinical.
And Stephanie wants to know, can you do the MSN with the BSN from another college?
Yes, as long as your BSN program is accredited by CCNE or ACEN, and then as long as you meet the other admission requirements.
And Lynn wants to know, if you're finishing your core classes, when would be the best time to apply for the RN to BSN program?
I would say you need to apply the semester before you plan to enroll in the online nursing courses or any other courses at UA. So if you are finishing up your classes at the end of spring semester and you want to enroll in the nursing courses in the summer, I would say go ahead and submit your application now.
And JC wants to know, do we need to apply as a transfer student? And JC, the answer to that is yes. If you have not been a UA student in the past, you do need to apply as a transfer. Madison, another question. What is the application of promotion that is due April 1st that I received an email about?
The promotion application is the same as the College of Nursing application that I was talking about. Now that application is due March 1st. I'm not sure which email you received, but if it's after March 1st, which is this Thursday, that's fine. We will consider late applications if that threw you off when you got that email. But the upper division application, the promotion application, those are all the same as the College of Nursing application.
And Lynn wants to know, do you have to take another board exam for an MSN?
It depends on which MSN degree that you get. Certainly if you pursue a MP degree, a nurse practitioner degree, there are board exams to be met. But there are also certification exams for our clinical nurse leader, our case manager, and our nurse administrator. Many times employers don't require that you have that certification, but you will be very prepared after our MSN program to sit for those certifications, and so I would strongly encourage you to do so. You're not changing your licensure with any of our master's programs except our MP, and then you are applying for an advanced practice MP license, which certainly gives you a broader scope of practice.
Jessica wants to know, is professional liability insurance a requirement during the clinical component of the program?
No, students do not have to hold their own professional liability insurance. Just as an FYI, I think it's always a good idea to have your own professional liability insurance, but that is not required. The College of Nursing does have liability insurance on students when they're in the clinical site.
And then Jordan wants to know, do the anatomy physiology courses have to be in a specific department, like taken in the biology department? Mine are from the School of Public Health and the Exercise Science Department.
Jordan, when those courses are reviewed by our transfer credit department here at the university, what they will do is look at the course description for the courses that you completed to determine whether or not they are equivalent to our anatomy and physiology courses, which are taught in the biology department. So it's not necessarily based on the department, like they're not going to look at your course and go, oh, this wasn't taught in biology, so that's a no. They will pull the course description and make their determination of transfer equivalency based on that information.
Samantha wants to know, if we can get into the state public health office for our community health credits, does the higher level degree of the preceptor have to be a nursing degree. The specific example would be a master's level epidemiologist.
Epidemiologist, yes,
Sorry.
Samantha. That's okay, dear. Yes, Samantha, that is certainly, we look at that on a case-by-case basis, but we certainly do promote interprofessional collaboration. And like you said, in the public health departments, many times you may be working with someone who does not have a nursing degree but has another health degree. So that is certainly fine. You'll get approval of those preceptors, but yes, we would absolutely approve that.
Thank you. And Nancy, you're more than welcome. Sorry you had to leave early, but thank you for joining our session. And Samantha wants to know, do you need official transcripts or will copies of transcripts work?
You have to have official transcripts to go along with your application to the University of Alabama.
And please understand that we do not do any unofficial transcript evaluations here at the College of Nursing. Students have to be accepted by the University of Alabama before we can then look at their work. So, like Katara said, that's going to require official transcripts.
And Catherine wants to know, how do you obtain a CWID number? And Catherine, once you apply to the University of Alabama within 24 to 48 hours, you will receive an email that will have your CWID number, and then you can set up your MyBama account as well as your Crimson email account, and that way you can track your application status with that as well. So, you know, once you apply, just check your email. Sometimes it goes to spam mail, so you might check there as well if you haven't seen it within 24 to 48 hours. And Stephanie wants to know, I'm sorry, what were those 2 accreditations you mentioned that are accepted from another BSN program?
Stephanie, they are either the CCNE accreditation or NLN accreditation are the 2 accreditations that do most of the bachelor's degree programs, BSN programs. ACEN does some accreditation of baccalaureate programs, but they are the accreditation that must be completed for your associate degree program in order for us to consider students for admission.
And Amber wants to know, do transcript with application have to be received by March 1st?
Well, no. If you think you're ready for the summer enrollment, I would suggest that you go ahead and submit your application to the university and request your official transcripts be sent. If you are, you know, admitted after March 1st to UA and your evaluation and everything is done after that, if you're ready for summer, I mean, we'll be happy to work with you to get you in. So, but if you think you're ready for summer, I would suggest you go ahead and submit that application.
Kellen, you're welcome and thank you for joining us. Samantha wants to know, is there an admission application expiration? Meaning, if I apply to UADA now, but don't plan on attending until the fall or spring, will the application remain active? And Samantha, when you apply, if you pretty much know the term you're planning on starting, apply for that term. If we need to move it back a semester, we can do so, but go ahead and apply further out in the area that you think you're going to be starting, whether fall or next spring. That'll save you a lot of stress as well. And Kendra, I am just confirming that you want official transcripts, even if it is just an evaluation. Is that correct? Kendra, just remember, we're not able to evaluate transcripts until you apply to the university and submit official transcripts. That's very important. Neither the College of Continuing Studies or the nursing school are able to evaluate unofficial transcripts. And Amber wants to know what's the cost to apply. It's $40 for the bachelor's application. And Andrea wants to know, what is the process of obtaining your NP licensure after completion of RN to BSN MSN?
The process of obtaining NP licensure after completion of RN to BSN to MSN. Okay, remember, Andrea, currently there is not an option for you to do RN to BSN to MSN NP. So that's not an option that's on the table right now. If you complete the RN to BSN program, apply to our NP program. NP licensure is licensure just like the NCLEX is. It's just an advanced practice licensure exam that focuses on the specialty degree that you got your NP in. So if it's family nurse practitioner, there's a family nurse practitioner board exam. If it's psych NP, there's a psych NP board exam.
Okay. I believe that's our last question for the day. I want to thank all of you again for joining us this afternoon. Hopefully you got some great information. Please, if you think of other questions, reach out to myself, Katara, or Dr. Cheshire. Our information is on the screen. Please reach out to us and have a great afternoon. Roll Tide.